This is the ROG Ally, and it is a fully portable handheld gaming PC running Windows 11. Now, a lot of people are comparing this to the Steam Deck, and that's fair enough. But why I'm actually excited about it is for a very different reason. So over the last little while, I had been using this, the Neo Air Pro. While this is decent, there's a lot of issues, and I can kind of talk about that in a minute, but with the ROG Ally, not only can this be a good gaming PC on the go, but my question is, could this replace your gaming PC, period? I already went from gaming desktops to gaming laptops. Can I go all the way to doing everything on my gaming handheld? With the Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor inside, while this is an offshoot of AMD's laptop chips, it is very much optimized for handheld use and using pretty much all the latest AMD tech, including a full 8-core CPU that's based on their Zen 4 architecture and a boost frequency of up to 5.1 GHz. But on top of that, you also do have RDNA 3 based graphics, as well as fast 16 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM and a 512 gig SSD, which is meant to be somewhat user upgradable, at least slightly easier than the Steam Deck. This is paired with a microSD card slot for expansion, as well as the XG mobile port, which not only does have a full fat USB-C port, but also if you do want to buy one of the ASUS proprietary external GPUs, you could in theory increase the performance even more. Although when you look at the price of those, it's maybe better to just not do that. Unfortunately, what I'm immediately running into is that to get decent battery life with this, there's a lot of software trickery to go on. So there's a few different modes here. You have silent, performance, and turbo. So turbo is what you want to enable if you want to get that sort of maximum performance. The downside though is that the battery life doesn't look particularly great. But what I really want to do with this is I actually don't care that much about it running in portable handheld mode. If my hunch is correct, I think there's a real argument to be had that this at $700 might actually be a good gaming desktop. It just so happens to be run in portable mode sometimes. So our Cinebench score on the multi-core is 15,188. So that's, mind you, just one single run, but that's a lot of performance. Next, let's run 3D Mark Time Spy to get a little bit of an idea for the gaming performance and specifically the graphics side of things. So I'm curious to see where this lands because this is a bespoke processor, right now specifically only on the ROG Ally. So AMD have basically made a slightly tweaked version of their laptop CPU and GPU combination, their APU. The theoretical max on the Z1 Extreme is like above like an Xbox Series S. You know, it's gonna be on par with a relatively decent gaming PC. So I spent a little bit of time before shooting the video playing around with this in handheld mode. You definitely notice in handheld mode, it's trying to throttle things back. You know, even when you're running in like the performance mode, it's trying to save battery by conserving as much as it can. But when you plug it in, when you unlock, you know, full 1080p, 120 Hertz, you throw the TDP at it, that responsiveness has come right back up to the point of a little gaming computer. So the number we need to beat is 3144. That's pretty good. I will say that's a much stronger CPU score than a graphics score, which makes sense. Okay, so now let's compare the ROG Ally with both a gaming desktop as well as a gaming laptop. So starting out with, we have the HP Victus, which typically runs about $600. This is outfitted with a Core i5-12450H, 8 gigs of RAM, as well as a GTX 1650. On the desktop side of things, we actually have a little bit of a sneak peek at an upcoming video, so you may want to subscribe and ring-a-ling that ding-a-ling button. But this is the Boson 5.0, which is running a Ryzen 5 5500, 16 gigs of RAM, as well as an RX 6500 XT. I'm going to the benchmark zone. I'm going to benchmark all three of these. I think the ROG Ally is going to be slightly behind the desktop and maybe slightly behind the laptop as well. They might be ballpark the same though. Which, if this gets even close, considering how small it is, that would actually be, I think, a pretty big win. And we're gonna see if the ROG Ally can compete in this same kind of space. I feel like I've got like crazy hair right now. I feel like I'm like Doc Brown, like trying to tell you about the DeLorean or something.
0.21 gigawatts. What the hell is a gigawatt?
Okay, so here's the deal. This HP Victus was an open box laptop that we purchased from Best Buy, and only now have we realized that something is very deeply wrong when the CPU score was about 1/8 of what it should have been. Assuming that this was actually working correctly, we should be seeing a Cinebench score of just under 10,000 for the CPU, and on the GPU side, we should be looking at time spy at around 3,400. This is actually not bad compared to the Ally, which has a significantly more powerful CPU, but it is a little bit behind on the graphics side. The more interesting comparison, though, is with the Boson desktop gaming PC, which I will remind you is about $500 in components, but clearly has some advantages when it comes to power and size. It's much, much larger, and therefore, while it is behind on the CPU score, does win out on the graphics side. But the important thing to know here is that I'm not totally crazy, and the Ally can kind of hang, especially with the laptop and almost with the desktop. So after running benchmarks, it seems like the ROG Ally is in the same kind of ballpark performance-wise as a gaming laptop around this price point. And while it's a little bit behind this $500 desktop, keep in mind that not only is this far larger, but also it is lacking some things that the Ally has built in. It doesn't have a display, doesn't have a battery, so generally speaking, I actually think that the Ally might just be capable of really being a full gaming PC. But for now, let's go ahead and get the desktop out of here, pretend the laptop never existed, and let's actually do some gaming on the Ally to see, can I use this as my gaming device? Because I kind of think I can. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try Cyberpunk 2077. Now, Cyberpunk is a game that doesn't really run on most portable devices. It's obviously very demanding, but I think that the ROG Ally might just be able to play. Probably have to turn some settings down, but let's give it a try. Cyberpunk, we got it. Also, for the record, those are the speakers of the Ally. That's pretty loud. So I am plugged in to this 1080p 144 hertz display, which is almost the exact same as the 1080p 120 hertz display on the internal. Let's see if this will actually work. Hey! It worked 48 FPS! We got Cyberpunk! This is actually good. Now, again, low settings, and we are running at 1080p, but using the AMD Fidelity FX, which is essentially the upscaling. So this is in the performance mode, which is probably running at a little bit of a closer to like a 720p native resolution. Now, I'm actually curious, so while this is running, I'm gonna turn the volume all the way down. Let me actually listen for the fan. So, mind you, this is the microphone almost touching the exhaust. It's really quiet. Oh, it's done. Okay, cool. What's my score here? 52.6 FPS. I actually think that I'm just gonna rock with it like this. If I really wanted to, I could turn the resolution down and actually start pushing like 60 plus FPS, but I don't need to do that. I guess one of the big differences, if you're thinking about the Ally compared to something like the Steam Deck, and the Aya Neo for that matter, is that you've got a different class of hardware, right? Now, I will say there's still concerns here, like battery life and whatnot, but at the end of the day, this has just a significantly higher level of performance, which enables certain games to actually work. Now, mind you, I will say, actually walking around, that FSR is pretty strong. There's a little bit of like artifacting as well with some of like the motion, like you can see almost leaves a little bit of like ghost trails. That being said though, this is running on a handheld. Okay, so here's the real test. Can I just flip it over to running on the internal display? So I'm gonna go PC screen only. So it's gonna hop it over to the Ally. And then, yeah, see, now I'm just using the controls on the Ally. This, while it's a little touch blurry on my 1080p, my 24-inch display, when you shrink it down to the 7-inch panel, it looks terrific. Mind you, I am plugged in right now and I'm running at the full turbo max settings. Essentially, it's actually a very slight overclock compared to what it runs at it from stock. But this is such a good experience. All right, so while this game's actually running, I'm gonna turn it down and unplug it and see what happens. I'm gonna unplug it. We're now in performance mode handheld. Performance mode is kind of like the default mode. So this is kind of the battery optimization mode. And now we're a little bit closer to 30 FPS. Dude, you know what? I'm kind of about this ROG right now. I had low expectations. Again, like I was like, oh, okay, Windows is gonna be annoying, battery life's gonna be bad, blah, blah, blah. But this level of performance just unlocks something. Like it's just a different class of hardware. All right, let's play some other games. Didn't tell these guys. I have a little secret. When I was thinking about ideas of how I could test the ROG Ally, I mean, obviously it's super easy to just grab like a USB hub and monitor and everything, but I have something a little bit more creative in mind.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hello. Can I show you something which either is genius or stupid?
So probably stupid.
It's kind of stupid. Okay, this is the next dock.
Yes.
This is an item that is really meant to be used with a Samsung device, DeX. You plug it in via USB-C, and you turn your phone into a laptop.
Yeah, we did a whole mystery check on it.
Whole mystery check on it. Right now, with a single USB-C cable,
Okay.
the ROG Ally is outputting a 1080p 60 signal to this display, but also, because it's a next dock, even though there's not any processing inside here, we've got a trackpad, we've got a keyboard. Theoretically, I could just use this like a little laptop. So say, the Ally is my only computer, and I want to actually get some work done, I can plug it in.
Sure.
The downside here is that the next dock won't push enough power to the Ally, and I have now also used my only USB-C port, so I can't plug anything in.
So what is stopping you from plugging this into a normal keyboard, mouse, and monitor setup?
I already did that. That's easy. That's too easy. I want the portable setup, and as you can see here, this is so much more portable.
You know what's also portable?
Yeah.
It's so portable, I could just, put it in my pocket and bye.
Is that an ROG Ally in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
I'm definitely not happy to see you.
Oh. This was almost a good idea.
This thing is very hot in my pocket. It is burning a hole.
Okay, fine. We've done a lot with the ROG Ally so far. We've shown off the performance. We've shown off the gaming PC chops. Why don't we actually use it portably and not use all of this nonsense and see how it is? I'm gonna go play some games. So I just wish you luck. This thing is really neat. I will say, as a person who loves playing with gaming PCs and portable devices, this really adds something to the market. No, it is not better than the Steam Deck. I think it's different. I think it's a different market. The Steam Deck is much more similar to something like a Switch. It is a portable, handheld gaming console, less so of a proper PC. They literally say on the back here, do you see this? Handheld console PC. That's what they put on the sticker. The thing I haven't really talked about much in this video is that once you're in a game and everything, it's fine. But as soon as you actually try to do regular Windowsy things, it's really challenging. The touchscreen doesn't work all the time with the keyboard. You have to tap it, you have to swipe. It's okay, but it's early. It feels like this needs more time in the oven for it to be a proper handheld console. But if you're looking for a relatively affordable, very powerful handheld gaming computer, and you're gonna hope that the console part of the equation is made good at some point with software updates, then I will say, I'm really happy with this ROG Ally. It's legitimately really neat.
Is this gonna replace your Switch?
I'm still gonna be using my Switch Lite. There's a lot of Switch games that are just really good. And there's a lot of PC games that are really good that play on this. It's different strokes for different folks, Some people like lemon, some people like lime. Not everyone wants to drink Sprite.
What?
That
Or
makes
people
sense.
just like spicy water.
Topo Chico is not spicy water, Ken. That's just bubbly water.